C81 Radio. C81 Radio. C81 Radio. C81 Radio. C81 Radio.
Our Almighty God, Creator of heaven and earth, Father and lover of our soul, you sit on your throne of mercy and rule with your love and faithfulness. You are full of grace. We acknowledge your presence in our lives. Nothing is hidden in your eyes, even our challenges and struggles in life. We come to you with faith. We ask not only for our daily spiritual bread, but to seek your forgiveness and undeserving favor to heal our land, our family members, our friends and neighbors, even our enemies with COVID-19 and other diseases. Holy Spirit, help us to deepen our faith and see the opportunity to believe, obey, and worship. As we face this pandemic, you are Lord and God. Encourage us and change our hearts, not to fear, but to be full of hope and find ourselves praying and meditating your word. We believe no works of the enemy prosper to your children. Abba, Father, we believe that your Son Jesus Christ is Lord and Savior. He is the truth and our salvation. Hear our prayers, O Lord, and most of all, not our will, but thy will be done. We pray this in Jesus' name, the name above all names, who was and is to come. Amen.
Naghahatid saya sa mga Pinoy, mga kanta at programang Tatak Pinoy. Napapanood at napapakinggan kahit saan ka man. Streaming worldwide. In South Manila, this is V81 Radio.
Malayo ka man sa iyong pamilya, dito ay hindi ka nag-iisa. Tiyak ito'y iyong hahanap-hanapin, dahil ito ang nagpapasaya sa atin.
C81 Radio. C81 Radio.
Ito ang radio mo, ito ang radio ko.
C81 Radio. C81 Radio.
Dahil mahal namin kayo.
C81 Radio. C81 Radio.
Para sa inyo ito, V81 Radio. Ito ang paborito ng bawat Pilipino. Basta all hits, all Pinoy, panalo. Merong kwentong iyakan at tawanan, kahit nasaan ka man ito'y mapapakinggan. Oh, oh, oh.
C81 Radio. C81 Radio.
Ito ang radio mo, ito ang radio ko.
C81 Radio. radio. 3-in-1 radio.
Dahil mahal namin kayo.
3-in-1 radio. 3-in-1 radio.
Para sa inyo ito, V81 Radio.
3-in-1 radio.
Ito ang radio mo, ito ang radio ko.
In the following program are those of the program anchors and producers and do not necessarily reflect the policies and position of this station. Buckle up and get ready, set, and go. Join Sports Girl anchor Nicole Ganglani as she dives deep into the lives of athletes, fitness personalities, and enthusiasts from the sports industry. This is Sportswatch, only here on V81 Radio, Manila.
Hello mga ka-sports ropa, this is your sports girl anchor Nicole Ganglani welcoming you to our show today where we talk all things sports and fitness. Buckle up, get ready, set, and go. We're here to put the spotlight on different athletes from different sports to hopefully inspire you every day. So for the 5th episode of Sportswatch this season, we have the boys who played for the Ateneo Table Tennis team, varsity team, on the show. We're going to be talking about all things table tennis, their collegiate careers, experiences in the UAAP, and the table tennis scene here in the Philippines. Without further ado, let's bring out Jigo, RM, and J3/Jonathan. Hi guys! Thank you for hopping in the show this morning. I appreciate it. I understand you guys are busy. For those that don't know, Jigo's a law student.
He's your lawyer.
Are you both a lawyer as well, RM and Jonathan? Oh, I'm gonna call you J3 since that's what your name tag says.
Yeah, for me, I'm not a law student. I'm working right now.
Okay, where are you working?
I'm working in IBM as a recruiter.
IPM is
IBM is International Business Machines in Eastwood.
So you're in HR.
Yeah.
Okay, and you RM?
Me, I coach table tennis. And I'm a social media manager.
You're a what?
Social media manager.
Okay, where?
For Happiness Machines. It's a bike company based in LA. So check them out.
That's impressive. Maybe we could talk about your experience in the bike industry a little later. But first, I'd like to ask each one of you, how did you get into table tennis?
Okay, Jigo, go
maybe
ahead.
we can start. Yeah, we'll start with Jigo. Since
Okay.
he's the law student.
Yes. No, so I started. So I was I've been playing basketball actually for the longest time, and I was
What's
part of
your
the
team?
varsity. I'm sorry.
What team do you support? I have to know.
In the NBA, I go west and east, so it's OKC and the Charlotte Hornets.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, not a good past few years.
Okay, I see. And in the East?
Charlotte Hornets.
Okay, you
So,
got
yeah.
a
But
metabolic.
it's a good year this year for them.
Interesting. Sorry, I just always ask someone who they root for. Anyway.
Yeah. So I've been playing basketball since I was, I guess, 7, and I was part of the varsity team in grade school. But
very good. And this is in Ateneo, right?
yeah.
Okay.
In grade school with the Nieto brothers. So they were my batch, our batch. And so what happened for me was I was part of the team for basically middle school, But there's this team that's kind of like the UAAP of grade school. So that's the SBP, Small Basketeers. And I got cut in the last year that I could qualify for that.
I'm so
So parang,
sorry.
I mean, it's fine. No, so I was still part of some other teams afterwards, but parang at that point you kind of realize like maybe this isn't the maybe I'm not gonna be a PBA player or anything. So I kind of got it kind of got me down. So I kind of started going back to other sports. I tried my first sport, which was tennis, but
Tennis.
at that point, we have so the Jathan and Hallie know this, that there's clubs in grade school, so co-curricular activities, but we didn't have a tennis club. So I was like, okay, what's the closest thing that I can get to? And I didn't. Obviously, now I realize it was not that close, but basically by the name, table
It's
tennis.
not. Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
not. Even if it
So
has
still,
tennis, it's not talaga. Because I've tried to play both.
exactly.
Not tournament wise, just like for
Yeah.
leisure. It's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
different. And
Yeah.
then
So I was I joined that club, and then I got to like the sport. My coach then invited me to join their club outside of school. So I was like, okay, let's try it out. And yun, I got to meet a lot of new people. I got to learn a lot about the sport. And then eventually, funnily, one of my old basketball teammates, Nacho, was in the table tennis team at the time. And when we got to high school, he invited me. He said, let's try out. Let's see what happens. And fortunately, both of us got into the UAP team in our
nice,
first year. So
nice.
it's
Yeah.
all history from there.
So it was meant for you.
Yeah.
No regrets naman.
No. I got to meet these two guys. So
Ah, you
Love
got
it.
me
Love
there.
it. And they're in tears. They're flattered.
I
Speaking of
didn't
the
expect that,
students,
Jigo.
yeah, you have to top that. I'm kidding. How about you naman, J3? How did you get into table tennis?
Well, actually, I started back in grade 6, but this was really casual because
Wait, sorry, did you guys know each other by then?
uh, Jigo I
we
knew
yeah.
because we were classmates in grade 4. Yeah,
Yeah,
grade
grade
4.
4.
So I knew him beforehand. Hallie, I only met later on when I was able to join the team.
What's
So
your name? Is it Hallie, RM, or why do you have so many names? What's your name? God, at least in the
uh,
show.
okay, you can call me Hallie or Rizal.
Okay, got it. Sorry. For our audience watching out there, it's Hallie. Okay, go on,
yeah.
Jonathan.
So I started grade 6 because my dad got a table. So he set it up at home, and I
A
was like,
table tennis, right?
yeah, table tennis
Okay.
table. And then I was like, oh, what's this? Why is it so big? Because I knew what a foosball table looked like, but not a table tennis table. It was so huge, and there was a net. So I was like, how do you play this? And then he got the paddle. Then he started teaching me, just like, oh, you just have to, transfer the ball to the other side and all of that. So it was really
Just have
casual.
to. Yeah.
Yeah. And well, growing up, I kind of liked basketball too, but I was kind
Same.
of big back then in grade school, so I knew I didn't have the speed nor the strength to, be a basketball player too. But slowly as I grew up and we just started to, continue playing, my dad told me, this is kind of like a family sport because um, one of my titas plays it also, and their dad, my lolo, used to play it also, but not in any professional capacity. So they were kind of trying to brainwash me that this is something that runs in the blood. So I was like, okay, if there's a sport, it must be this. So there, I just tried to get better, and then I actually tried out freshman year high school.
Yeah.
But the funny thing was, I came into that gym. So this is the Ateneo Blue Eagle gym. I came in, and I could hear the balls, and they were so fast. The
Mm-hmm.
classic ping pong, clickety clack. All that sound, and I could see them moving so fast. Everyone was so focused. I stood there right in the right at the entrance, and I was like, ah. And then I turned around and then I went away. So I went home. As in my first year, I was about to try out, and because I arrived and I was so scared, umuwi na lang ako. So
Oh, and then
yeah, I was like really overwhelmed, and I just really got scared.
because I understand because based on experience, at least in college, because I went to Benilde, and when the table tennis team would train, and then you go up the court, there are tables everywhere, and then parang ang intense, diba? So
Yeah.
I get your situation, and then the balls are like everywhere, and then parang you're just yeah, yeah, I get it. And then
So I turn around, I go home, I tell myself, I can't come in, with my skill. So I practice for like another year, and then I try out, and there I thankfully get into the team, the last spot in the team. So I don't know if Jigo was able to explain it already before, but essentially you get 16 players, at least for the high school team. So the top eight would go to the UAAP team, and
eight
then
lang,
sorry,
Yeah.
eight lang.
yeah, eight lang for the UAAP
Isn't
team.
there a ton of? I mean, I know we'll get to it later. We'll get to specifics later. But isn't there like a doubles tournament and singles tournament and all that? So they only get eight for that.
Yeah, in
Okay.
general, the whole team is just composed of eight people, and then
Yeah.
the bottom eight go to the Prada team.
Okay.
So so coach coach starts announcing the names, and he reaches the 15th name, and it's still not my name. So I start
Shit.
packing my bags. I'm ready to leave, and then he announces the last name. He goes Jiao, and then I was like, coach, sabi niya, Jiao, di ba ikaw yun? Sabi ko, yes coach. Sabi niya, oo yun, pasok ka, gumana siya. Sabi ko, ha? Talaga? And I was so excited because, it was my
Yeah.
first time to become a varsity and everything. And then, yeah, I just continued until we graduated high school. I tried out for freshman year of college, but then I wasn't really able to balance it anymore. So that's really when I stopped.
So you stopped in high school.
Yes.
Yes, but nice story nevertheless. That was really an adventure, and I'm happy you eventually got in. So
Yeah.
very glad. How about you, naman, boy with many names? Or
I Yeah, yes.
could you
Boy with
please
many
tell
names.
yeah, boy with many names. Could you please tell us how you got into table tennis?
At first, I used to watch my dad play with all his co-teachers, and once once I got into the club, I also joined the grade school club
Yeah.
when I was in grade 6, I think. So that was my first exposure.
Is this in Ateneo as well?
Yeah, and Ateneo as
You
well.
all are Ateneo from the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, go on.
And I really got serious, I guess, because I wanted to beat my dad. So I started playing seriously in high school, and I just got addicted. I spent more time playing table tennis than studying or doing anything
I
else.
think that's your grade.
It was okay. I mean, I passed high school and college,
That
so
matters. Yeah.
I guess it's pretty okay, right? So I used to spend maybe 6 hours, 6 hours playing table tennis every day. The first year, I didn't make it to the UAAP lineup, so yeah, that was pretty rough on me because I really wanted to make it, but I joined late, so I was a total beginner
What's
by
late? Like,
then.
how late? Like,
Late in terms of the tryout in the season.
okay, okay.
Yeah, and in the beginning of the year, I wasn't good enough basically. But
Yes.
by the end of the year, I made the lineup and was able to join some of the teams, and that's how my table tennis journey began. Never looked back since then.
For sharing that. What I noticed from all three of your answers is parang super important yung UAAP tournament. I mean, but the fact that you're in that lineup, it seems like that's like the most prestigious achievement you can get, at least in the varsity setting. Am I right?
Yeah,
So,
it's the crown jewel
Yeah,
of
I'd have to
collegiate
agree with Ali.
sports.
Right.
to think na eight players lang, so it's really an achievement, I believe. So I'd like to ask, were you guys ever teammates together at one time? Jonathan said he didn't pursue at Nine College, but was there a time na all three of you were teammates in the same team and competed in the UAP?
We were just talking about that.
No, no, no.
No,
As in,
No, with
think,
Jigo, with Jigo, I was just talking about that with Jigo.
we
okay,
weren't.
okay.
Well, technically, we're on the same team because like all the
We're one
college and
big
the high school
family.
train in the same place.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
our batches were not. So basically, me
We were
and
never,
JT were on
yeah.
the same high school team. But at that time, Hali was already playing for the college team.
Yeah. So if you count it as like one big family, technically we were playing for one same team for I think 3 years.
Yeah,
Yeah,
3 years.
2 3 years around that time. But because of the age difference, we were never part of like uh
The same
everyone in
age.
the high school team
Unofficial
or
lineup.
everyone in the college. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Why? What's your age difference?
Oh, they're older than me.
Yeah, because you were in grade
Obvious. Yeah,
school.
it's obvious.
For those who don't know, I'll be showing. Yeah, can you roll that video now? Actually, um, Sir Michael,
Man.
can you roll that video? Okay, I think we're experiencing tech difficulties. But before we show that video, I'd like to ask you guys, how was it like competing in a UAP setting? Like, what does one expect when they're watching a UAP game? Like, one of you mentioned kanina, it's the crown jewel. So, I'd like to ask, how is the vibe when you're playing in the UAP? Maybe we can start with you, Jonathan, since you're wearing your
Um
jersey.
yeah. Um well, in terms of overall vibe, because when you at least with the when UAP was held in the Blue Eagle gym, but this time on the actual court, instead of where we used to train, which was like the floor below it. Um, all of the tables would be spread out
Wait, it's
in
in
the
the Blue
basketball
Eagle
court.
gym?
At least during our time
Yeah,
or
most
my
of the
time.
years it
You
is.
Most of
guys
the years.
always got home court advantage.
It didn't
Yeah.
really help much, but
Yeah. Hallie Slap says it all though.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
go
you,
on.
you get there and
Not judging. I
all of
don't.
the tables are spread out,
Yeah.
basically the whole basketball court is covered with, a lot of tables. So you
Yeah.
see all games actually being held at once.
Yes.
So it's easy to pick up the whole competitive vibe because you can see that everyone is cheering or everyone is like in the zone. So it's you immediately get that, I guess, rush that you wanna perform. Um, in terms of like support though, I have to admit, like, I guess because you also get used to basketball where the whole arena is packed and everything. With table tennis, at least during my time, it's easy to get a front row seat because usually you'd have like the friends and the family, and then that's it. So and then select members from the babble team or from the cheerleading team who would join and cheer. So it
Pero
didn't.
baka nagsaselect niyan. Okay. Gets.
Yeah. So it's not like everything is packed. The whole gym is like
Yeah.
filled. But at the same time, because it's kind of closer, um, there's a more you feel it more, I guess, because there are less people. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's for me.
Yes. Yes. But in terms of competition, who was this? What school was the hardest to play against?
I'm
All
gonna
the
let
schools.
Jigo and Hallie take that.
No, the powerhouses were UST, FEU, LaSalle.
Yeah.
But now it's
Okay.
more balanced. Actually, there are
Okay.
there are a lot
This
of
is
strong
our
teams.
nth grade school video. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So yeah, this is our. Oops. Hindi siya nagpo-play.
Oh, okay. I thought when they say it, like, oh, BF. Do you like space? Kasi ito lang katama, diba? O-N-T. No, I meant like when they're talking. Oh, you heard that? Like OBS? Really? Ba't ang init ng suot mo? Pero ba't yung uniform? Ah, parang ko uniform na yun.
There goes the episode. There goes the video. Thank you for that. Thank
That
you
was
for that.
fun.
Sorry.
Yeah, that was fun.
Medyo nag-glitch siya sa akin. It's my internet. Apologies. I didn't get to watch the end part. But timing siya because Jonathan was just explaining how the vibe is during the table tennis, during a UAP table tennis tournament. So, RM, can you just go through that game? That was during your grade school years. I'm kidding. When was that? Versus who? I'm trying to guess what school. And did you end up winning that tournament?
we ended up winning. I ended up winning that game, but I think the team lost in the final set. So it
Ah,
was like because there are 5 events, right? In UAAP, we only have team event, which is composed of 2 singles, a doubles, and then 2 more singles.
okay.
So you have to win 3 of those 5 to win. So we made it all the way to the last singles, but I think we lost in a closely contested game, if I remember correctly.
So I've gotta ask, how are you guys chosen to compete in the category, right? Does your coach just put you to the doubles matchup or singles matchup, or does it depend on your skill, or how do you get branched out to the category?
Okay, yeah.
Sige, go.
I'll answer it. Since I coach,
Yeah.
um, well, it largely depends. It sometimes depends on who the opponent is. So if we've done our scouting and we know the strengths or weaknesses of the other team, we we can place which players, because both teams don't know which players or which lineups will be submitted.
Okay.
So we
Yeah.
want, if our best player can beat their best player, then we want them to match up against each other.
But you don't know who the opponent's gonna put
Yeah.
in. Okay, that
So
and that just adds to the like intensity or like
yeah, it
the
plays a huge role. Like some games have been won just because of the lineup. Like the right lineup won that game.
so it's like a guessing game or a chess match between the coaches.
Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
can
Okay.
kind of tell din naman. Because like what Holly was saying, parang if you know that your best player is gonna be first, then most of the time you know where the other team's gonna be putting their
Right.
guy.
Yeah.
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 So the other team's goal is to put a weaker player against the best player of the other team, so that
Why? Oh, so that you
yeah, so
okay.
it's
So
like
you don't waste
wasted.
your yeah.
Right, makes sense. But how do they know who the weaker player is? Do they like intensely scout each team?
Kinda, yeah.
You
We
kind
know
of
in the
know.
table tennis community, we know.
Yeah.
Interesting, interesting. So I have to ask, since it seems like the UAP nga is the biggest achievement talaga when you're in a varsity team. What would you say are your individual accomplishments, like the best for you guys? And if it's not UAP, feel free lang to mention what other tournaments. Maybe we can start with you, Jonathan, since you're in your jersey. Is that your UAP jersey?
Yeah, this is my third year jersey. Of the
Okay.
three, I like this the most because it's the one that has both the Ateneo logo
So you
and the
have different
UAP logo.
jerseys
Yeah,
every.
back when I was in the Prada team, it was a collared shirt and then
Yeah.
just the Ateneo logo. So
Oh yeah.
you gotta earn this one. You gotta
Right.
have that there. But then the fourth year one, it was just the UAAP one. I think because there was some issue with putting the Ateneo logo in your
Okay.
jersey. So to have both, that's why this is my favorite. But anyway, um, in terms of like biggest achievement, uh there's this tournament called apps. I unfortunately don't
International.
remember the breakdown of the tournament, but it's AAPS. And it's basically the tournament you have to win in order for you to qualify for palarong pambansa. So this was a tournament between all the QC schools. So we had Ateneo, if I'm not mistaken, we had Angelicum, and then I think two other schools.
Okay.
And in the team, this was back in my senior year already.
Yeah.
Our rank one player, um, who is Mario Kimbo, he went against the rank one player for Angelicum,
Okay.
and he unfortunately lost that match. So we wanted to really secure a win in order for us to, still advance. Although that
Right.
was Mars' only loss. So either way, he would have, proceeded anyway. But for me, I wanted to win just so I could also, get that slot for myself. Um, so that's Angelico's best player, and I'm, I don't know, somewhere below. And I end up
Grabe
thankfully
naman yung
winning it.
somewhere below.
I end up thankfully winning it. And I was kind of surprised because, um, I didn't expect to win because he was really good. He had a lot of good fundamentals, and he attacked really well. Essentially, I just tried to really play smart. Mainly, that's always been my play style, playing smart, because I don't have the athleticism for it. So there, I won, and the team was congratulating me because it was kind of like slaying the giant. So for
Mm,
me, I kind of remember that the most because it felt good.
yeah,
You get a medal
for
and you proceed.
sure.
Yeah.
For sure, for sure. Thanks for that and congrats. The late.
Thank you.
How about you naman, Jigo? What was the highlight of your UAAP or even collegiate uh, career?
Yeah. Well, my college career was not the best. I only played 1 year, and I didn't get to play that much then, and it wasn't that
Okay.
good. So let's go to
We
high
can
school.
yeah.
No, so in high school, I got into UAP from the first year, so that was pretty good for me. But I was really young, and I was especially young in the sport, so I didn't play that well until I would say third year, like what J3 was saying. So I remember in third year, outside UAP, we were able to win the Paya Championship, so that
The
was
what?
pretty big
Sorry.
for me. Paya,
Okay. What does that mean?
yeah. Philippine Athletics Youth something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
Youth,
think
youth
so.
Yeah, basically there's
association.
Paya and there's Prada, so it's a
Yeah.
counterpart. Parang
Prada.
ganun.
Wow, okay.
Anyways, yeah, and then but I think J3 would know this na our biggest achievement because for us, if you look at Ateneo Table Tennis and you compare it to Ateneo Basketball, there's a big gap. So if that's your
Uh-huh.
expectation, then let's not talk about it. But um well, Ateneo Basketball is like the
Champion.
standard. Yeah. So
Yeah.
basically, parang we we weren't known for placing that high. So
Yeah.
I remember my
Yeah.
first 2 years in high school, we were like there's 7 teams, so we were like fifth, sixth, I think, something like that. So it wasn't good. But come third year, for some reason, we were playing really well. Like
Mm.
we were tied for, but it was a step ladder in final four, and we were tied for fourth, I think. So we had a knockout
Yeah.
game
Yeah.
against Adamson, which we won.
Mhm.
So parang dun palang we were like, oh my god, we're in the final four. And then we got to skip class pa because we had the step ladder, and we were going against
Yeah.
UST. And basically at that time, different from what Holly was saying, for us talagang like we weren't really sure who was number one. So like the one, two, three they could all be number one seed.
Yeah, because it's a
So
step
there
ladder.
was yeah no, but like in terms of like
The
how good they
skill
were,
level, yeah.
yeah, they were
Okay.
Yeah.
all like any one of them could have won, basically. So I think it was UE, NU, and UST. So those three. And
Mhm.
I think because if you're from Benilde, one of the players of NU, like the MVP, went to Benilde
Ryan.
eventually. So how
Ryan
about yeah,
Paul. I had him in the
yeah?
show.
I think
Yeah, he was my table tennis guest. He's the best. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I think I think he's our batch, Jates. But
But
like
didn't
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
go to college? Shout out
medyo
to
may
Ryan if
gap.
you're watching this. I know he tunes in a ton. But didn't he go to wasn't Benil his college team or something?
Yeah,
Yeah,
this was in high
in high
school when he
school he
played
was
for
NU.
NU.
Okay, yeah. O nga, o nga.
Yeah.
And
So,
then
anyways, I think I'm not sure if I played against him, but if I did, certain yeah. Anyways, so so when basically that
naman.
was the biggest thing was when we weren't expected to be too high a level, but then we got into the final four, and then UST, we lost the first two games, the first two singles,
Yeah.
and then our doubles, si Jello and si Ij, went beast mode. So they won
Yeah.
the doubles game. Our captain, Sir Royce, won the singles, and
Yeah.
then ayun, when natalo kami because I was the last one. But basically, the highlight was that we reached the final four.
Yeah, and that's not too bad. That's not too bad. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Before I get to RM, shout out to everyone tuned in today. Juancho Crisostomo, pardon me if I got that wrong, says Foggy and Jigo all grown up now. Meanwhile, Karen Silva Crisostomo says, Yay, Coach Ali RM Silva Crisostomo. So thank you for tuning in. So,
Family showing up.
Yeah.
hello.
Shout out to my family.
Very supportive. Thank you, thank you. So RM, how was your? What's I don't know if it's still a highlight because you're a coach, but what's the highlight of your table tennis career so far?
Table tennis career in so far.
Yeah,
Uh,
doesn't have to be strictly college like so far. Yeah.
well, one of the most I guess I have two that are recent. One would be helping coach the women's team to a first runner-up
Right,
finish.
Ah, that's so great. Yeah.
right.
So that was years in the making, and it was like a zero to hero kind of story. So Ateneo has been we've been the cellar dwellers for the longest time in table tennis. So it was a huge jump,
For
and
sure.
we actually almost we actually almost won first place. It was anyone's game.
What
It
season was this?
last season,
The
but right
last
before
one.
the
The lockdown.
pandemic. Yeah,
Okay. So you coach in Ateneo,
yeah,
both the men's and women's, or just the women's team?
yeah. I kind of all around. So that was a huge thing. I was really excited for this year because I think we would have actually won this year. And aside from that, uh, I qualified for the national selection in Batangas. So that's like the tryout for the national team.
Nice.
I didn't make it far I didn't make it past the first round there, but just to qualify for that was something. So I had to win a tournament for that. So that was big for me.
Yeah. Just to touch on the women's team, because I'm like, I love talking about like women's sports, especially if it's
It's good.
about empowering. Yeah. I'd like to ask, when did you guys slowly progress, and how did you do that? Like you had mentioned that it's a big deal for the women's team going from zero to hero, and the fact that you were almost gonna win, right? So as the coach, what did you gradually do to help the team progress or get to that stage where if it weren't for COVID, you could have won the tournament?
Well, what we had to do was one, we started when Ateneo opened their doors to senior high for girls.
Yeah.
We recruited three three players from different schools who were pretty good, and we kind of cultivated them, trained them both in terms of sports and academically, and we basically took care of them until they reached college, where they teamed up with the current team. And every year we just focus on getting better until until our until our plan kind of fell into place.
Yeah. How did you guys get better? Like, what, as a coach, what did you do to make sure they reached that point where they got better every single day? Was it,
Training, of course.
yeah, training?
Yeah, training every day, mind setting and guidance, just making sure that they're focused. So table tennis is a very technical sport, so
Yeah.
you have to practice it a lot, and there's an endless amount of techniques, and the game's always changing, so you have to keep on adjusting. So
Interesting.
it's not enough that you just maintain your skills.
Yeah.
It's a constant state of learning.
Oh, okay. Great. We'll tap into that in the next segment. But before we go on break, I'd like to ask you three. Could you guys give advice? Obviously, as people who been through different situations or career journeys around the sport, I'd like to ask, could you give advice to someone who wants to get into table tennis, or to someone in the process of like trying to get better at the sport or just getting into it, like what would you tell them as someone who's been through that situation? Maybe we can start with you, Jonathan, because you seem like you're deep in thought.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to think of the best answer because there are a lot of answers, to be honest.
Go, tell them
Um,
all. We have people tuned in. Oh, before you, I'll give you time to think because I'd like to shout out Miss
sure.
Karen Crisostomo. I believe this is your mom, RM, or
It's my mom.
okay, great. She
She
says,
watch all my games.
thank you so much for tuning in. She says, strict training and instilling discipline for the game. Hashtag Ateneo Blue Paddlers.
Damn.
Miss Katrina Cruz says, I'm so proud of my former teammates. Miss you guys. Hello, Katrina. Thank you for tuning. And Miss Karen again says, go Ateneo Lady Blue Paddlers. Very supportive. Thank you for tuning.
Well, my brother was teammates with you, Jigo, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Second
Yeah, you
until
guys are
my
teammates.
second year or first year. Second year ata.
Yeah. So going back to our question before we head to break, yun nga, I'd like to ask, what advice would you give for someone who wants to get into the sport or basically was or is in the same position as what you guys were last time? So we'll start with the guy with the jersey.
Yeah. Okay, well, I have an answer now, and it's probably be patient with the fundamentals. That's, I think, the thing that I realized later on as I continued to practice and train with the sport. Especially when you're young, you get excited to reach that level where you're smashing balls, you're moving so fast, so many moves like the backhand and everything, the flick, but a lot of it really goes down to simple footwork, repetitive exercises, all those shadow movements, even just balancing the ball using your paddle matters. So, yeah, be patient with the fundamentals because it's going to um reap rewards for you later on when you get better, and you'll see it's going to be practically second nature by then. So yeah, for me, that's the one.
Thanks for that. How about you naman, Jigo? What advice would you give?
Yeah, I guess I think it's one thing that you get out of from Ateneo table tennis, at least being not really the most successful at the time for us, at least. Parang you kind of got to see us recruit or us get some not even random, but like parang people that are interested in table tennis to just try out the sport. Because like I know there are times na kulang yung lineup, for example, so they'd ask some people to try out, ask some people to try it, and like we have a lot of players, or at least I can name like si James and si Andre, for example, are two guys that like started out or like really developed their game in college lang, and you could see
Yeah,
how big of a jump they made in such a short time.
exponential
And I
growth
think
as well.
like even if we have parang yun nga, even if we weren't that successful, I think it's something that we were successful in. It was developing players from scratch. So basically parang
It's
it's
true.
for me like it's never too late. And I guess another thing just to promote table tennis, parang it's really parang when you get to a certain level, it's really like it honestly the sound of the parang pagpalo lang it's honestly music to the ears, because like
Yeah.
there's like there's like a sound talaga that's at that parang you know what I mean, like
I
Yeah,
get
yeah,
it's
I
like
guess.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can.
it
Yeah,
makes
it
yeah,
makes
it's
you.
music.
Yeah, it brings the excitement. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
I can
It,
hear a ping pong ball bounce a mile away. Like, oh, someone's playing ping pong.
make sure you don't pull a Jonathan and run away.
Nah, not Hallie. Hallie's not afraid.
I'm kidding. For the coach, actually, if there's someone to talk about development, it's the coach. So, RM, what's your advice to someone that perhaps wants to get into table tennis or is in that phase where um they're stuck or maybe want to develop their skills?
Okay, first and foremost would be not to be. Don't be afraid to try it. Okay, table tennis can be intimidating at first with all the, especially if you play against someone who's really good.
Yeah.
you might get intimidated and say, okay, this is not for me. So don't be afraid to try it, enjoy it, and soon you'll find yourself addicted to the game. So once you realize that you really want to improve, just focus on the fundamentals and reach out. I mean, the table tennis community is a very helpful or kind community. Everyone's willing to teach you or play with you, even though you're just beginning.
Yeah. Great. That's awesome. Thank you so much for that. It's I like how you guys tapped into the importance of improving, getting better, and using that passion or determination to just get better at the sport. So thanks for that, and we'll tap into the table tennis scene here in the country and more about because I noticed you guys keep expounding on the importance of fundamentals and developing skills as the game progresses. So we'll tap on that in the next segment. But first, let's take a break.
We'll be back shortly. This is Sports Watch, only here on V81 Radio, Manila.
Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste. I'm a king of rock, there is none higher. Some MCs should call me sire. To burn my kingdom, you must choose fire. I won't stop rocking till I retire. Now we rock the party and come correct. All sets are on time and rhyme connect. Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste. I'm a king of rock, there is none higher. Some MCs should call me sire. To burn my kingdom, you must choose fire. I won't stop rocking till I retire. Now we rock the party and come correct. All sets are on time and rhyme connect.
Let's dive deep into an all-boys conversation with Voice of the Boys, taking up full sessions about movies, anime, martial arts, and more. Voice of the Boys features pop culture, discussions on male topics, and issues with a hint of female perspective. Hosted by your resident voice artist, the Rick Matthews, and Voice the Slayer, Joshua Narvales. So grab a popcorn and enjoy the Voice of the Boys, only here on V81 Radio, Manila. Now back to Sports Watch, only here on V81 Radio, Manila.
Back here at Sports Watch with our guest today, former Ateneo players and coach. Actually, current coach, Jigo, Rosar, and J3 slash Jonathan. Hello again, guys. Oh, the order's different. There we go. So I'd like to ask you guys to just pick up where we left off. How's the table tennis scene here in the country? Maybe RM would have a better understanding of it because he coaches and he mentioned a while ago that he went through the tournament. Sorry, tryout for the national tournament, right? So, could you please give us a brief lang of how the table tennis scene here is in the country? Because last season, and I had Ryan as my guest to talk table tennis, diba? He
Yeah.
had told me na there still needs to be developed. There's still growing to do for the sport and basically support from maybe the Philippine Sports Commission or those involved. So I'd like to ask, how would you evaluate it in your perspective?
Well, the sport in general has made waves or has taken huge steps in the recent
Okay,
years.
that's good to hear. Yeah.
Yeah. Special thanks to the efforts of the PSA, RPSA, which is PTTF or Philippine Table Tennis Federation.
Okay.
So they've really carried the sport on their back. They've been sending players abroad and making we've achieved the first youth Olympian in the recent years. We've had our first female Olympian, So these are all huge, or these are all milestones in the sport of table tennis.
Yeah,
And just the other day, we sent 4 players to Doha for another Olympic qualifier. So this is very, so the scene now is very different from the scene maybe 10 years ago, where the players didn't really get the opportunity to go out and compete and get exposed, because that's one of the biggest problems is the lack of exposure for our national team. So yeah, they've been doing great. There's still a lot to be desired in terms of support, but slowly but surely, we're inching and improving.
yeah. Do you think we can get to that phase where we can be considered a table tennis powerhouse in the Philippines?
I don't see why not. As long as if we are able to match the resources of the other countries and really invest in the sport, I think it's anyone's game. We
Nice. That's
we've been constantly placing in the SEA Games despite the amount of resources we have right now. So I wouldn't be surprised if the country invested in the sport, more people would be playing, and we would actually become a powerhouse in Southeast Asia.
that's great to hear. Who are some of the notable players right now sa table tennis scene? Just to give our audience maybe some sort of preview or how they can follow the national table tennis scene here. Who can they like tune into to follow the sport? At least pre-pandemic, obviously.
Okay, you can follow the president of the PSA because he always posts about the players. So if you can search for him, hot ponger Ledesma. I'll send you the name.
That's
And
great.
yeah,
So
the
you can like tune in, no? And
yeah,
yeah.
tune in because he always posts. In terms of the players, our first youth Olympian is Jan Naire. So he's really really good, head and shoulders above any other player here in the Philippines, and he's one of our best bets of getting another medal in
Yeah,
the Southeast Asian Games, and hopefully if they win, they qualify for the Olympics if they win this upcoming tournament in Doha.
thanks for that. So, how about you naman, Jonathan and Jigo, as someone who went through the table tennis experience in your schooling years, and maybe observing it now, would you say there's some sort of progress sa sport?
I'll let Jigo answer first.
Okay. Oh yeah, for sure. But I think something that I wanted to point out then about the table tennis scene is how good kids are. Because
Yeah.
if you compare, like when we look at,
So
especially me
true.
coming from
Smiling.
basketball, like when
But
you're in like
good
grade.
sa basketball.
No, I mean I'm just comparing it to my experience there, of course, because like
Yeah,
parang when you're in basketball, it's like everyone else is parang if they're older than you, they're automatically better because they're bigger,
Yeah.
they're taller, they're faster.
for
The
sure.
thing
Yeah,
is with table, yeah, and like going back to what you were saying earlier, if we have a chance of being a powerhouse, I would say we definitely do because I'm pretty sure J3 and I'm not sure if Hali's lost to younger kids before, but like J3 and I have lost to, I'm not even kidding, probably kids that are like 4 years younger and 2 feet shorter could kick your butt in table tennis, and you would see them
Indeed.
in these tournaments, these national
yeah,
tournaments where it's packed, and like these kids that are their eyes are barely above the table, and they are whooping your butt
no
basically.
Yeah,
way.
they're
So
jumping
Yeah,
across the
how did
table.
that happen? Is it because our development program, or is this in Ateneo at least?
this is like the tournaments that are
Nationwide,
open to
nationwide,
Oh,
yeah,
everybody. Yeah.
nationwide. So
nationwide.
yeah, that's first of all, that's really great to hear. I'm happy to hear that, especially for the sport. But how did that happen? Is it because the development program got better here sa Philippines?
Yeah, definitely. So the
Uh,
development program is starting to bear fruit. So players from different provinces are popping out. All these youngsters the level of playing now in high school is so different from when I was in high
Yeah.
school.
Oh,
Like
okay.
unbelievable.
In terms of what?
In terms of skill, technique, some of these high school
That's
players
awesome.
will beat a
Yeah.
long time playing adults.
Great.
That's how
Yeah.
good they are.
Here, I love that. Yeah. It just goes to show now we've progressed, or there's hope, not hope, sama naman ang hope, but like there's something to look forward to for the future young athletes. Yeah, for the future athletes, that's for sure. So sorry, Jigo, may have interrupted you. Would you like to add to that lang na?
No, yeah. Just yun nga, parang it kind of shows how the sport grows. Then, because like now, there's more table tennis clubs for sure. In cities, in sports clubs, and parang just from that, you're gonna get more kids into it. You're gonna get more people teaching, basically. So, parang if there are more people teaching, there are gonna be more opportunities then for kids to learn from wherever they are, and like the
Yeah.
clubs are going to be closer to home na. So that's, I guess, that's definitely why a lot of kids are getting better, why they're like a lot of UAP teams are recruiting more even from the high school level. So the level of competition is crazy.
Nice.
It
So
is. It is.
does it make you want to go back? Does it like make you wish that that's how it was during your time, or is it something you're just genuinely happy about?
Absolutely not. I was so happy that the level of competition was not that high. I think it like there was a huge jump in J3's last year, because I wasn't in the team in the senior year of
Yeah,
high school. J3
yeah.
was still there. So I think that's when the teams in high school, at least, parang there was a huge jump in level. So I'm glad I ended where I did.
So thank you for that honest answer. I appreciate your honesty throughout the show.
Yeah.
How about you naman, Jonathan? Do you have like something to add lang in terms of the table tennis scene here in the country?
Yeah. Well, to bounce off of what Hallie said, yeah, you can follow Jan Naire. He's pretty good. We also have this other player's name's Jigo Sison. I hear that guy's a
Yeah.
sleeping giant, crazy
Jigo
good.
season.
Yeah, he just buries his face
Oh
in
my
law books,
god.
but if he wants
IG,
to,
Twitter, follow him.
yeah,
Oh my
yeah, easily.
god.
No,
He's a
but
journalist too, right?
He is.
Oh my
everything and
god.
anything under the sun, honestly.
And
He is at the night
he's
show.
been competing at the
Yeah.
debate. So shout out to Anushka for what for the setup and for watching.
Yeah, but jokes aside, I think part of what Jigo said is true. The Philippines can be a powerhouse in the table tennis world, partly because of how the sport is, and what I mean by that is um, you're separate from your opponent. So whether you're this huge, tall, let's say German guy, or this really small, let's say
very
like,
very concrete, ah. Very
no, because usually like in size, and even in the in
yes,
the
yes, I get it.
global
Yeah.
scene, they're powerhouses too. Um, versus like, let's say, a small girl. I mean, size wise, you'd think, right? But then at the same time, if you watch them play, you're like, oh, parang pantay pala. They can actually go against each other. And in terms of speed, also, I think we Filipinos have the capacity to really train ourselves with footwork and with muscle memory and everything. So just being able to spread the sport. They're both right. Also, Hali and Jigo. The things that Coach Ting or Sir Ledesma has been doing have really helped to spread the word in terms of table tennis, and just in terms of even starting out or setting it up. You technically just need a table, and some form of
Oh,
net.
net. Yeah.
Yeah, or like, even just cans of, like, let's say, pork and beans or sausage to serve as the net, and that's fine. You can already start to play table tennis. So even just starting it is also easy, which means that spreading it will also um, be easier also. So yeah.
That's awesome. I love the positivity and parang the light on the future, diba? It seems interesting and it seems exciting actually. I just got excited knowing na the progress we've done and parang it seems like we can actually be a powerhouse
We
someday. So
can.
thank you boys for sharing that insight. What I've noticed with the interview thus far is that you guys have mentioned na what makes table tennis different, at least from what I assess, is that it doesn't matter what your height is. It doesn't matter. I wouldn't say like weight. Of course, that's still a factor in any sport, naman, diba? But it doesn't matter how I guess fast, super fast you are. Unlike basketball and speed, what matters is really I'm assuming your skills to game, the technicalities behind it, and I believe IQ because that goes into the sport din, diba? So, has it always been like that sa sport? Or is it like what RM said a while ago na parang it has progressed throughout the years?
Who'd like to go first?
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
Me? I can go ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Actually, this question's perfect for you. So,
Yeah. So
thank you.
I think the game has changed because in case you don't know, or in case for all the viewers out there, they changed the type of the ball. So the ball now is bigger, and the material used is different. So in the past, uh, in the 90s or in the early 2000s, or even when I was in college, actually,
Yeah,
it was more dependent on spin and technique. But
yeah,
now that they've changed the the material of the ball, the sport is more physical. The rallies are longer, so you really have to be physically fast and strong to keep up with all the shots. So height has less of an advantage, and maybe strength in the sense that your opponent can't bully you in
Yeah.
a physical contact kind of way, unlike
unlike
in
other sports, diba?
unlike in
Where
basketball
yeah,
or
yeah, yeah,
football
for
or
sure, you can get intimidated by your opponent because you're
yeah, where they can really body you up and bully
competition.
you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's different.
But yeah, but now you have to be just as fit as any track and field athlete or
Yeah,
basketball athlete to be able to compete at a high level. So it's it's that's how different it is now. So you have to be smart and super physically fit in order to move, very fast and
yeah.
perform well.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had mentioned the importance of being smart. We'll get to physically fit in a bit. The importance of being smart. So, how does one develop their IQ for the game? Is it constantly like um, experiencing it in different levels, different tournaments, or how does one build that? Especially if you're new to the sport.
Well, I think I can answer that. You're right. It's really mainly watching other players, observing their play style, um, and really just exposing yourself to the sport more. Because that's mainly also how you'll learn. Um, Seeing how people move, seeing how fast they move, how they prepare for
Yeah,
their shots. There's a lot that goes into that. And yeah, even just with like the play style, as what Hallie said, yeah, things are getting more competitive. I think it's a faster game now. um
I love
but
it. Yeah,
also just but also just in terms of play style, IQ plays into it because let's say you feel like you have a disadvantage, maybe because your forehand, let's say, is not as developed.
hmm.
There's a way for you to play in such a way that you kind of cover it, or that
Yes,
at least
yeah,
you try to
yeah,
avoid
yeah,
getting that weakness of yours exposed. So there's that part of it, and another part of it is the more technical side, which is the actual construction of your paddle. Not many people know this, but you can actually change the rubbers of your paddle. So it's composed of like different materials. Let's say Hallie's paddle might be made of wood, and then mine might be made of like or might be composed of a little carbon, let's say, so it's lighter. So there's a lot that goes into that, the textures of the rubber, and you adapt it to your play style. So let's say you're bigger or you're slower, you can be a more defensive player, but still need that speed or that IQ. Versus
Right.
someone who, let's say, is smaller and faster, that just really that just really wants to focus on offense. So there's that.
So it can go either way. For
Definitely,
example,
yeah.
yeah. So it's about what I'm assuming is in-game adjustments and basically how you manage your skills when the tournament is going on. That in itself is a skill alone. Like just finding a way to maximize your skill or your IQ sa I wouldn't say sa court. Sorry, I was gonna say sa court. What's the term for sa
Table.
the
Stable.
table?
Yeah, and just reading the types of spin. So you
Yeah.
need to
Yeah.
understand the types of spin and the angles. So that
Is that
alone is
difficult? Maybe I
yeah.
Yeah.
can ask Jigo, like when you're in the
It's
tournament itself, how do you
No.
read your opponent? Like,
Yeah. Well, sorry. Because it honestly, it's like one of the most mind related sports that I would say, at least, because
actually, that's one
parang
thing I learned in this
yeah,
episode. Table tennis is a
because
very IQ oriented sport. You don't
yeah,
see it.
because
The game is so like fast paced,
Mhm.
and
but
especially, like, for example, the first time I tried it, usually you're just hitting it over the table, but
yeah,
as you progress in the sport, it's there's different types of spin. So there's top spin, there's underspin, there's side spin. Then you add in the factor, so you have to think about what kind of spin they're doing before you obviously hit it back. And then at
yeah,
the same time, me and J3, for example, there's different types of rubber. So there's the normal one, I'm sure that you're familiar with, is what everyone uses, the goma goma, the rubber. And then there's the pimples. So
the
J3
pimple.
and I use, yeah, pimples. So what happens there basically is the ball gives back. It kind of slides through the rubber. So basically, if you hit a top spin and you hit it with a pimples, it comes back to you the same spin, but it's underspin. So basically, honestly, I'm sure J3 and I have gotten away with some points just because our opponents don't know how to read it or are not familiar. But it's
Yeah.
funny because I'm pretty sure both of us are also not that familiar how to play against someone with the pimples. So it's
Yeah.
really parang you can't just smack the ball
Yeah.
back and forth and
Yeah,
hope it'll go in, because like
yeah,
if you read it wrong, it's gonna go out or it's gonna
for
hit the net.
sure. Yeah. So it does that take? Did it take time for you to adapt that skill to just read your opponent's next move or the way your opponents, ano, play?
Yeah,
I realize
definitely.
it's even harder kasi di mo alam yung opponent mo on that day, 'di ba? So parang it's on the spot, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, so it's harder to do that.
Definitely, yeah. And considering you you have to be ready basically for any type. So it could be someone with rubber, someone with rubber rubber pimples or anything.
Yeah, and there's so many different types of or different ways to serve the ball,
Yeah,
different types of playing like moves or strokes, and it can be overwhelming.
yeah. So, RM, as a coach, would you say the development or the progress of the game is constantly changing super fast, or it takes years for it to change?
I think it's changing like within a year. It could change slightly. If you watch it online, you might not be able to notice it, but there are slight changes or improvements to how they play the game, and then it'll slowly trickle down to the others.
Yes.
So players are
Before
always finding ways to get an upper hand.
Yeah. Before we go on break lang, can you go into specifics in that, if you mind? What are the things that constantly change?
The way they contact the ball before, it used to be all upwards, like a 90-degree angle.
Yeah. Now
So it's
it's
more like a 45 with a thicker. I'm getting into the more technical side, but like
yeah.
you hit
Yeah.
the
No, it's
ball,
okay. We like that. Yeah.
you hit the ball at a thicker or with a thicker contact at a lower angle. Some people use their wrist, some use their forehand, just their forearm. So in that sense, in the way they receive the ball, there are all these new strokes. So in that sense, the game is always changing.
Yeah, it just proves that it's constantly table tennis players are constantly adapting to the changes, and I like how we talked about the progress and the fact that we have the potential to be a table tennis powerhouse or breed actual table international table tennis competitors in the future from the country. So thank you guys, for sharing that. I really appreciate that. So we'll get into the break, and we'll be right back for our last segment.
We'll be back shortly. This is Sports Watch, only here on V81 Radio, Manila.
Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste. I'm a king of rock, there is none higher. Sucker MCs should call me sire. To own my kingdom, you must use fire. I won't stop rocking till I retire. Now we rock up party and come correct. All people on time and rhyme connect. Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste. I'm a king of rock, there is none higher. Sucker MCs should call me sire. To own my kingdom, you must use fire. I won't stop rocking till I retire. Now we rock up party and come correct. All people on time and rhyme connect.
Now back to Sports Watch, only here on V81 Radio, Manila.
Okay, we're back here at Sports Watch with our guest, former Ateneo table tennis athletes Jigo and Jonathan, and current Ateneo coach RM. Hi again, guys. So this segment's a little more fun. It's actually what my guests say is the hardest, but hopefully it's not for you guys. So it's the rapid fire. I'm just gonna ask a random question, and then you guys just tell me the first thing that comes to your mind. Game?
Okay.
Sure.
Sounds ready.
Dangerous.
Always been ready with his jersey. Do you have a jersey number in that, or it's just like a
It's just the name at the back and the name in the front.
nice? Still dope though. So first question is, who from the three of you is the most competitive?
Ali. Come on.
Parang next is, who is the most outgoing to the point that they talk to their opponent, or they're just really friendly on the table or outside the sport?
J3.
Yeah, maybe me.
One word to describe your table tennis experience.
Special.
Special. Oh, I like that word. Gusto ko yung silent si
Go on a date.
It was the first thing on your mind, guys. First thing.
I'm gonna go with forever.
Forever.
Damn. Yeah, I guess like unforgettable.
Unforgettable. I love that. Toughest opponent you've faced.
Myself.
Wow.
Uh,
J3.
Nah, not really. Mar.
Uh, I don't know his name. Whatever the kid's name from USD was.
And Coach RM, who was the toughest opponent you faced?
Oh, okay. God, there's a lot. Maybe Yatko. Yeah, Jet Yatko.
Is he like in the national team or he plays competitive?
Before national junior team.
Favorite tennis player? Sorry, table tennis player. My bad. Those are two different sports.
I had to think. I was like, who's my favorite tennis player?
Favorite table tennis player.
um,
Mine is
Chu
Juicy.
Hyuk. Hey.
What?
Timo Ball. Mine's Timo Ball. Or Fan
And,
Zhendong.
and yours, Jonathan.
It's Juicy Hyuk also.
Okay. Great. Favorite biggest realization about your table tennis careers? Like it could be like a big lesson about the sport, about the game and such.
Don't pressure yourself.
Play smart.
Play smart.
Be train to play against your own style.
And lastly, fill in the blanks. Table tennis is
Life.
The best sport.
The future.
the future. Thank you for that. Before I let you guys go lang, I understand, Jigo, you have to run at 12:25. So thank you for making the time today, lawyer by day.
Show host by night.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, you can promote your show here in a
Sports
bit
season.
relatively. I'd like to ask, you three have obviously found a passion for something that at least became or currently could be still so significant in your life. Can you share lang some encouraging words to our audience on how they can find their calling, kahit hindi table tennis or interest that they can eventually pursue similar to how you guys did, whether that's in your grade school years or now as a coach or um, for some time in your collegiate years? Could you just share lang some encouraging words?
Well, I can start,
Okay.
I guess. Um,
Yeah, go
well,
for
well,
it.
for me, I guess my advice would be keep trying. Again, whether it's a sport, whether it's a hobby or a talent, you won't encounter it if you don't try it. So you have to start it first, you know. And it's when you start that you realize and get a better feel of whatever that passion may be. So yeah, just keep turning those leaves, and eventually you'll figure out something that you want to devote your time and energy to.
Thank you for that, Jonathan. How about you naman, Jigo? What's your advice?
Yeah, I guess mine would be, to chase your dreams but also don't be afraid to change your dreams, because I think if we look at a lot of the sports here in the country, a lot of the SEA Games, for example, some of the athletes that we have there, it could be that they could be very new athletes to the sport and they're already representing the country. So there's a
Yeah.
lot of different opportunities in a lot of different sports and a lot of different fields. And just because you were chasing one dream doesn't mean you can't change it to another one. You can't change it to another sport. You can't change your dreams and then chase those. So yeah.
Thank you for that. And lastly, RM, could you please share lang some encouraging words, especially for
If
those that actually want to pursue coaching in general?
if you find something that you love or you're passionate about, don't give it up. You might hear a lot of people say that you're wasting your time or you might encounter a lot of hardships, but in the end, if you keep doing what you love, you'll eventually be a happier person overall.
That's awesome. Thank you guys again for coming to the show. Could you just promote your maybe? I believe Jigo has a sports show. You can promote it here, or maybe RM. You can promote where people can find your where people can follow your coaching career or maybe table tennis like journey thus far, and maybe Jonathan, anything else you want to promote? Go, please get this opportunity to
You
do
guys
so.
go ahead.
I'll start. Okay. Yeah. So, similar to this show, I guess, I have a YouTube channel, Facebook page, Sports Season. So you can just search that Sports Season or Sports Season podcast. And what else? Shout out to all the AESS people, all the sino ba, sa UAAP team natin,
Yeah.
to my GO1 blockmates in law school, and to Kish, my girlfriend.
Aw.
And to the Loizaga team. My bad, Anushka.
Next,
Jonathan. Oh, me for Jonathan. You can go ahead.
Okay, all
yeah,
right.
or maybe where we can find you, like on Instagram or Facebook or.
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram at J3Yao. You can add me on Facebook, I guess, Jonathan Yao. I have a Twitter, but I don't really use it that much anymore. And yeah, shout out also to Carlo who watched, the show. Shout out to my parents, my family and friends, and to Charm.
That's awesome. All right. Thank you guys so much for hopping in the show again. I personally learned a ton about table tennis and its progress here, and I hope you guys had fun. Thank you for tuning in and for coming in, and for our audience for tuning in. So thank you again.
Yeah.
Catch you
Thank
guys.
you so much for shedding light on the table tennis scene.
Yes, that's what
Yeah.
I wanted. That's what I wanted to do.
Exposure
Yeah.
and support.
I'm happy.
I want more people to know about the sport.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
So I hope they can follow you, especially you, RM, since you're a coach. Maybe like if ever you eventually get to coach a national team, hopefully one
Yes,
day.
yes. If you haven't tried table tennis yet, please try it.
It's a great
So-
sport.
It's a beautiful sport.
Yeah, thank you guys so much, and I'll catch you next time. There you have it. So, the thing about sports is that it requires you to be persistent, passionate, and committed in order to go far. For Jigo, Coach RM, and Jonathan, success didn't happen overnight. You could tell through their stories that it happened through long hours from the gym, sacrifices, and success and failed tournaments. These are amongst the factors that help them thrive in table tennis in different stages of their career. So once again, this is your sports girl anchor Nicole Ganglani. Thank you for tuning in today. Catch me every Saturday from 11 to 12:30. Tune in to the lineup of shows this weekend. We have Making a Difference by Erica Mison from 3 p.m. to 4:30. Followed by tomorrow we have New All Pinoy Alternative Music, hosted by Charlie Diaz and Forbes Moro. Then followed by Practical Magic from 8 p.m. to 9:30, hosted by Reg Revtan. So thank you guys again for tuning in. I hope you learned something about table tennis today. I for sure did, and it was fun. It was a great experience. So next week we might have Jitsu or Frisbee. We'll keep you updated with that. In the meantime, we'll catch you all next week. Peace.
Get your head in the game and join the tribe every Saturday as we hear the stories of athletes, fitness personalities, and enthusiasts from the sports world. Hosted by your resident sports girl anchor Nicole Ganglani, bringing you sports action on Sportswatch every Saturday, 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Philippine time. Until next time, only here on V81 Radio, Manila. Tunog Pinoy, Tatak Pinoy, your all hits, all Pinoy digital radio station in South Manila. This is V81 Radio.
Ito ang paborito ng bawat Pilipino. mong iyakan at tawanan. Kahit nasaan ka man, ito'y mapapakinggan. Oh, PA1 Radio, PA1 Radio. Ito ang radio mo, ito ang radio ko. PA1 Radio, PA1 Radio. Dahil mahal namin kayo. PA1 Radio, PA1 Radio. Para sa inyo ito, PA1 Radio.